दोस्तों, मैं रोहित कुमार एबनीशो की ओर से आपका स्वागत करता हूं।
In this lecture series, I'm going to start with the natural law philosophy and why I'm starting with the natural law philosophy even when it is not the part of your syllabus, because it helps you in making your understanding of other philosophies like analytical positivism. So natural law philosophy is very important in a sense that analytical positivism is a reaction against natural law philosophy in the 18th and 19th century. Let's begin now with natural law philosophy. Natural law philosophers believe that the natural law being a coexistent with mankind itself, so it is very ancient in nature, it is existent with the existence of mankind, and it emanates from the God himself. So since natural law emanates from the God himself, it is superior to all अदर लॉज. नेचुरल लॉ से सुपीरियर कुछ नहीं है, क्योंकि नेचुरल लॉ भगवान से एमिनेट हो रहा है, उसका ओरिजिन जो है वो भगवान से है, एंड क्योंकि इसका ओरिजिन भगवान से है वो सभी कानून से सुपीरियर है, सभी जितने भी विधान है उनसे सुपीरियर है, एंड देयरफॉर इट इज बाइंडिंग over all the countries at all the times and at all the places. Natural law क्योंकि भगवान से आ रहा है, सभी के ऊपर बाध्य है, सभी देशों के ऊपर बाध्य है, ये चाहे कोई भी समय रहा हो, पास्ट, प्रेजेंट या फ्यूचर, सब में ये बाध्य रहेगी. And no man-made law will be valid if it is contrary to the law of nature. कोई भी मानव के द्वारा निर्मित कानून अगर वो नेचुरल लॉ के खिलाफ है तो वो वैध नहीं होगा. And that is the view of the natural law philosophy. First jurist that we'll discuss is a Socrates. He's a Greek philosopher, Socrates, Socrates. His period is 470 BC to 399 BC. The name of the Socrates occupies a very prominent place among the Stoic philosophers of the ancient time. बहुत बड़ा नाम है Socrates. Socrates को कई लोग राजनीति शास्त्र का जनक भी मानते हैं. But here we will be discussing his philosophy from the point of view of natural law. So Socrates was a great admirer of truth and moral values. These are the very important virtues for Socrates. He argues that like natural physical law, there is a natural moral law also. He talks about two laws, natural physical law and natural moral law. And it is because of the human insight, he says, that a man has the capacity to distinguish between good and bad. So man has a human insight. He can understand the distinction between good and bad. He only has a capacity to understand that distinction between good and bad. And man is the only animal who is able to appreciate the moral values. Is there any other animal on this planet who can appreciate that distinction between good and bad? Or is there any other animal on this planet who can appreciate the moral values? We know there is no other animal on the planet which understand the distinction between good and bad and who can appreciate the moral values. So, according to Socrates, the true virtue of the human being is his knowledge. And whatever is not virtue is sin. That means whatever a human being does, not according to his knowledge, but according to his greed, maybe, that is sin. तो हम लोग जो बात करते हैं कि जब आप पाप करते हो तो वो तब करते हो जब आप अपने समझ के अनुसार कोई चीज नहीं करते हो, तो वो पाप होता है. Socrates, justice may be of two kinds. First, natural justice, and second, legal justice. So he knew the distinction between natural law and positive law, because he talks about man-made law, which is a positive law, and he also talks about a natural law, and therefore he divides justice between two parts. First, natural justice, and second, legal justice. Rules of natural justice are uniformly applicable to all the places, but the notion of legal justice may differ from place to place, which is depending upon the existing statutory law and social conditions of the place. Now, natural justice being a very natural, which emanates from perhaps God, from human insight we may say that, it is applicable to all the places. It is uniformly applicable to all the places. But when we come to legal justice happens as per the man-made law, as per the justice which is established by the man, and therefore it may differ from place to place. It depends on the existing statutory law and the social condition of that particular place. Legal justice is a variable content. It varies from place to place. It varies from time to time, because according to the legal justice, the concept of justice may be something else in India. It may be something else in England. It may be something else in Eastern European countries like Italy, Germany, Portugal, Spain, Greece. So legal justice is variable content. It keeps changing with the time and place. The reasonability of a particular law is judged by human insight. How do you judge whether the law is reasonable or not? According to the human insight. So only those laws would be deemed proper which are in accordance with the principles of law of nature. Those laws will be proper which are supported by human reasoning. So the laws which are supported by human reasoning will be proper. Thus, natural law is a species of those laws which are universal in nature. The natural law is that law which is immutable. Natural law is that law which is uniformly applicable to all the persons at all the places and at all the times. So that is the theory of Socrates. But friends, Socrates did not deny the authority of the positive law. He never said that positive law is invalid because he knows that the positive law is applicable by the coercive force of the state. Although he did not talk much about the positive law, he did not deny its authority either. He actually pleaded for the necessity of natural law for security and stability of the community. He said that if we apply natural law, it will be better for the security and stability of the community. Here I stop.
दोस्तों, इस तरह के वीडियो को बनाने में काफी समय, मेहनत और रिसोर्सेस लगता है। आप अपना वैल्यूएबल फीडबैक जरूर शेयर करें ताकि एबनिशियो टीम को प्रोत्साहन मिले तथा आपके द्वारा दिए गए फीडबैक पर काम करके और इन्फॉर्मेटिव वीडियोस आप तक लाया जा सके। यदि आपको यह वीडियो पसंद आया हो तो प्लीज लाइक द वीडियो, सब्सक्राइब द चैनल एंड शेयर द वीडियो विद नीडी वन।
Now next legal philosopher that we are going to discuss is Plato. His period is 427 BC to 347 BC. Again, he is a Greek philosopher who is a disciple of Socrates, and he had a credit to carry forward the natural law philosophy which was propounded by many philosophers including Socrates. He carried it forward through his concept of ideal state which he termed as republic. So ideal state का जो concept उन्होंने दिया उसको उन्होंने republic कहा। कहते हैं कि ये एक आइडियल स्टेट जो होता है वो एक रिपब्लिक स्टेट होता है। He argued that only intelligent and worthy persons should be king. So in the ruling class he said that only intelligent person or only worthy person should be placed at a highest pedestal, that is a king. He argued that justice lies in ordaining man's life through reason and wisdom and motivating him to control his passion and desires. So where can we, when we ordain human life through reasoning, when we control our life through human reasoning and wisdom, when we motivate human beings to control his passion and desires. Because पूरा झगड़ा कब होता है? जब इंसान के पैशंस बढ़ जाते हैं, उसकी डिजायर्स बढ़ जाती है, उसकी नीड्स बढ़ जाती है। और जब हम उसको कंट्रोल करेंगे, जब हम उसको कंट्रोल करने के लिए ह्यूमन बीइंग्स को मोटिवेट करेंगे, वहाँ इनजस्टिस नहीं होगा, वहाँ आपके पास जस्टिस है। In Plato's Republic, he emphasized the need for perfect division of labor, and therefore he held that each man ought to do his work to which he is called upon by his capacity. जैसी जिसकी कैपेसिटी हो उसको वैसे अपना काम करते रहना चाहिए। In other words, he says that every person should mind his own work and should not unnecessarily meddle with others. आप किसी के काम में इंटरफेयर मत कीजिए, आप अपना काम करते रहिए, अपने कैपेसिटी के अकॉर्डिंग आप अपना काम करते रहिए। अपना जो डिवीजन ऑफ लेबर जिस तरीके से है उस तरीके से आप उसको फॉलो कीजिए। That is his understanding. According to Plato, the law of states are a pale shadow of an absolute idea of perfect laws against which man-made laws may be measured. जो law of state है वो absolute idea of perfect laws के against judge किए जा सकते हैं। So that is Plato for you. Not very much you can discuss about him, and he only carried forward the philosophy of Socrates. Now we come to Aristotle, जिन्हें हम हिंदी में अरस्तु भी कहते हैं। Aristotle, again political scientist he was, and his period was 384 BC to 322 BC. Stoics had widened the meaning and scope of natural law. So he has a credit to widen the meaning and scope of natural law. And natural law during his period no longer remained a mere knowledge of universal and ultimate laws, but it is extended to man's insight, which enabled him to appreciate the absolute eternal moral rules. Natural law क्या है? Natural law is something which man is able to appreciate the eternal moral rules, and that is natural law. Aristotle came out with a more logical interpretation of the natural law. So सबसे अच्छी इंटरप्रिटेशन एंशियंट ग्रीक फिलोसोफर्स में नेचुरल लॉ थ्योरी की दी है एरिस्टोटल। अकॉर्डिंग टू एरिस्टोटल, मैन इज अ पार्ट ऑफ नेचर इन टू वेज। तो मालूम है, मैन इज अ पार्ट ऑफ नेचर, बट ही इज अ पार्ट ऑफ नेचर इन टू वेज। फर्स्टली, ही इज अ क्रिएशन ऑफ गॉड। फ्रेंड्स, even the atheists believe, many of them, those who don't believe in God, that there is something by which this planet or this universe is controlled by the nature. So Aristotle says that man is a part of nature in two ways. Firstly, he is a creation of God. I don't know whether man is a creation of God or not, but he is a creation of nature for sure. And secondly, man possesses the insight and reason which enable him to articulate his actions. Man perhaps is the only animal on the planet who can do whatever he wants through his reason. That enables a man to articulate his own actions. If you apply your reason on a particular action, you can articulate your action. Please take the definition of natural law given by Aristotle. He says that natural law means a reason which is unaffected by desires. Simple. Natural law is a reason which is unaffected by desires. He says that it embodies the basic principles of justice and morality. So what natural law embodies? Basic principles of justice and morality which have universal value. So natural law also has a universal validity which is independent of time and place. So natural law is applicable throughout the universe. उसका time से कोई लेना देना नहीं है, place से कोई लेना देना नहीं है. It is applicable everywhere, at every country, at every place, at every time. So Aristotle did not categorically state that the positive law, which is contrary to principle of natural law, is invalid. Again, like Socrates, Aristotle also did not deny the validity of positive law, even if the positive law may be contrary to the natural law. Now I'm quoting some of his words. He said that so far the relationship of positive law with the natural law is concerned, natural law is originally different from positive law, but once the positive law has been laid down, it is not different from the natural law, because ultimately you have to follow the positive law. Sometimes the rule of natural law may be part of positive law, and sometimes it is not. And therefore, natural law should try to incorporate within it the very fine principles of natural law. But once the positive law has been laid down, it should be obeyed, even if it is devoid of the standard principles of natural law, even if it is contrary to the principles of natural law. Aristotle pleaded that the correct approach is to reform the positive law. Correct approach is to amend the positive law and not to break it. Now, the most unfortunate part is that the Aristotle justified slavery, and he argued that slave must accept their lot because the slavery is a natural institution. We know that this view does not hold good today. This is not a tenable view in the present civilized societies. Aristotle suggested that the ideals of natural law have emanated from the human conscience and not from human mind. अगर आप human mind पे जाते हैं तो आप positive law पे चले जाते हैं. But since natural law emanates from human conscience, it is valid. So therefore, principles of natural law are far more valuable than the positive law, which is an outcome of the human mind. Positive law is an outcome of the human mind, and therefore the principles of natural law are far more superior than the positive law. Aristotle viewed justice as a virtue. Like Socrates, he also viewed justice as a virtue. And he says that justice occurs within the state because it is a virtue. He considered justice as a political virtue. He said that justice is a political virtue. The study of law tends to motivate the citizens to engage in activities that expose virtues and refrain from action that express vices. Thus, justice demands that a person should be guided by reason, and it should refrain from indulging in acts which are unjust. It should refrain from acts which are unlawful. It should refrain from acts which are unfair. So I give a pause here. The next gist that I want to discuss in the natural law philosophy is Cicero. 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 His full name is Marcus Tullius Cicero. Marcus Tullius, Tullius, Tullius Cicero. He was a great Roman lawyer. He was a very good statesman and a wonderful orator of his time. His legal philosophy is contained in his book, which is very famous work of his time. The name of the book in Roman is De Legibus, that is Delegibus. Legibus. That means the laws. De legibus means the laws. According to Cicero, true law is a right reason in agreement with nature. So what is true law? It is a reason, human reason, in agreement with nature. And that perhaps is a very right definition of it, because we may apply even bad reason also in appreciating what we do. So what is true law? It is a reason, right reason, not a wrong reason. It is a right reason in agreement with nature. It has to be in agreement with nature, and that is how we'll be able to apply a true law. So natural law is having a universal application. Natural law is of universal application. It is unchanging and it is everlasting. क्योंकि natural law है, nature से आ रहा है, human reason से आ रहा है, उसका application जो है वो universal है, वो change नहीं होता है, क्योंकि change करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है, immutable है, and it is everlasting. हमेशा से natural law चलता आ रहा है. So he argued, because he was a Roman jurist, और उनके समय में एथेंस पे यानी कि ग्रीस पे रोमन एम्पायर का साम्राज्य था. And therefore he argued that there should be no two different laws, one at Rome and another at Athens. There should be one eternal and unchangeable law which will be valid for all nations at all times. एक ही लॉ होना चाहिए सबके लिए, सभी देशों के लिए और सभी समयों के लिए. Thus, Cicero supported natural law because it was a creation of reason. It was a creation of reason of the intelligent man who stands highest in the creation by virtue of his faculty of reasoning. तो natural law को support इसलिए करते हैं क्योंकि natural law comes from a reason of whom? The intelligent man who stands highest in the creation by virtue of his faculty of reasoning. तब देखिए natural law philosophy कैसे change हो रही है. पहले philosophers कहते हैं कि natural law comes from a God because man itself is a creation of God. Second view says that no, natural law comes from a human insight, human conscience. And third view says that natural law is a part of human reasoning. So that is how natural law philosophy is changing. So Cicero believed in the universal applicability of natural law, which is based on a general morality of the human society. So that is Cicero for you. Now we come to the medieval Europe. I'm talking about the period of 12th century AD. This period is known 12th century AD to middle of 14th century AD. That means 1100 to 1350. That period I'm talking about. This period is known as a medieval era in the European history. This period was dominated by ecclesiastical doctrines which the Christian fathers propagated for establishing the superiority of the church over the state. So ये ecclesiastical doctrines से dominate किया इस period को Christian fathers ने, और इस समय Christian church ने state के ऊपर supremacy को establish किया. And everything in human life was regulated at this time by the church. If you read the history of this period, European history, you will find that everything from the birth of a child till his death was controlled by the church. So these Christian fathers used natural law theory to propagate Christianity, and they used it also to promote a new legal order. उस समय लीगल ऑर्डर को चेंज करने की सिर्फ कोशिश नहीं की, बल्कि काफी हद तक उन्होंने सक्सेसफुली ऐसा किया भी. उन्होंने नेचुरल लॉ को यूज किया क्रिश्चियनिटी को प्रोपोगेट करने के लिए और न्यू लीगल ऑर्डर को स्टैब्लिश करने के लिए, और काफी हद तक वो सफल भी रहे. They in fact were able to change the political ideology which is based on morals and theology. So now natural law was based on morals and theology rather than human reasoning, God, or human insight or human conscience. Now, on the one hand, natural law was based on morals, but mainly it was based on theology. The Christian saints, I'm taking some names here. First one was Ambrose, another was Saint Augustine, and third, Gregory. These saints propagated a view that divine law is superior to all other laws. So divine laws कहाँ पे मिलते हैं आपको? Theology में मिलते हैं. Divine law कहाँ पे मिलते हैं? Religious scriptures में मिलते हैं. तो they have started saying that divine law is superior to all other laws. According to these Christian fathers, all laws are either divine or human. So divine laws are based on nature. ऐसा तो उनको कहना ही है, सीधा सीधा थियोलॉजी को नहीं कह सकते हैं. तो they are saying that divine law is based on nature, whereas the human laws are based on custom. वो human laws are based on custom क्यों कहते हैं? क्योंकि human laws उस समय codified तो थे नहीं बहुत ज्यादा. तो कहाँ से based होंगे human laws? Human laws, they are saying, are based on customs. It is the divine nature of the natural law which makes it binding over all other laws. So divine nature of the laws which makes it binding on all the people. St. Augustine went on to say that divine wisdom is revealed in the religious scriptures. So for the first time, divine nature of law, he said, is revealed in the religious scripture. Moral precepts or holy scriptures, they said, are in fact the principles of natural law. So if you want to follow natural law, you have to follow religious scriptures. They are the principles of natural law. The religious scriptures are the principles of natural law. There is a legal philosopher, his name is Gierke, Gierke. He said that medieval period of Christian theology centered around two fundamental principles. It is centered around two fundamental principles. Which are those two fundamental principles? First, unity, which is derived from God, which involved one faith, one church, and one empire. That is Roman Empire. And second, the supremacy of law, both divine and man, as a part of unity of universe. Now the period of Renaissance, it starts from the middle of 14th century and it goes on till the 17th century. This period of Renaissance in the history of development of natural law may also be called the modern classical era, which is marked by rationalism. It is marked by emergence of new ideas in different fields of knowledge. So when there are new ideas in the different field of knowledge, when you have a rationalism, you start questioning everything. You start questioning religion. You start questioning the role of the church in the politics of the Europe. You start questioning why the state is so weak and church is so strong. You start to ask a question, why church is so much dominating the human life from the birth till the death. And you also start questioning why the church itself is controlling the economy of the region. Now, there was a general awakening among the masses, which was coupled with the new discoveries of science during the 14th and 15th centuries. That entirely shattered the foundation of established values. क्योंकि established values जो थी, वो किसने establish की थी? They were established by the church, and that had to be shattered because there were new discoveries of science at that time. Apart from that, there was a tremendous growth of trade and commerce in European countries. So जब trade और commerce की ग्रोथ होने लगती है तो क्या चाहिए होता है लोगों को? ट्रेडर्स कम्युनिटी को क्या चाहिए? ट्रेडर्स कम्युनिटी को चाहिए होता है सेफ्टी, सिक्योरिटी. बिकॉज ड्यूरिंग दोस पीरियड पायरेट्स जो होते थे वो काफी लूट मचाते थे, समुद्री डाकू, समुद्री लुटेरे, या जमीन पे भी बहुत लूट होती थी. So traders community wanted security. So due to the growth of trade and commerce in the Europe, some new classes emerged in the society, and those new classes needed greater protection from the state. को चर्च प्रोटेक्शन दे सकता है क्या? चर्च आपको प्रोटेक्शन नहीं दे सकता है. तो ट्रेडर कम्युनिटी को चाहिए प्रोटेक्शन, सिक्योरिटी चाहिए, सेफ्टी चाहिए, और वो that cannot be given by the church. चर्च आपसे पैसे तो ले सकता है, but church cannot maintain army. Church cannot maintain the police power. That can only be maintained by the state. The cumulative effect of all these developments was that there was a general wave of nationalism. तो लोगों के बीच एक nationalism की wave आने लगी थी. और nationalism को please उस सेंस में मत लीजिएगा आप, जो कि आज modern sense में हम nationalism को लेते हैं. It was not like that. Nationalism simply means at that time was the nation state should have a power to provide stability, safety and security to the people. That's it. So there was a general wave of nationalism amongst the masses, and there was a demand for absolute sovereignty of the state. So there was, on the part of the people, arose a demand of the sovereignty of the state. They were demanding supremacy of the positive law, overruling the dominance of the church. Now they are saying that we don't want the dominance of church. We want absolute supremacy of the पॉजिटिव लॉ. नेचुरल लॉ की हमें जरूरत नहीं है क्योंकि नेचुरल लॉ थोड़ा सा पोल्यूट हो गया था चर्च के कारण. चर्च उसको डोमिनेट कर रहा था. नेचुरल लॉ को उन्होंने अपने फेवर में टिल्ट कर लिया था काफी. एंड दे वर सेइंग दैट नेचुरल लॉ कैन बी फाउंड इन द रिलीजियस स्क्रिप्चर्स. नेचुरल लॉ कैन बी फाउंड इन थियोलॉजी. तो उस टाइप की डॉक्ट्रिन्स को लोगों ने उस समय ओवरथ्रो करने की कोशिश की. एंड दे वर डिमांडिंग सुप्रीमेसी नॉट ऑफ द नेचुरल लॉ बट ऑफ द positive law. They were demanding sovereignty of the state. Now new theories supporting the sovereignty of the state were propounded by the rationalist politico-legal thinkers. अब इनके कुछ नाम बताता हूं मैं. कौन कौन से वो politico-legal thinkers थे जिन्होंने sovereignty की theories को प्रपोट किया. पहला नाम आता है मैकियावेली का. मैकियावेली का नाम आपने पढ़ा होगा. जॉन बोडीन. These thinkers were propounding theories related to the state sovereignty. And as a result of all these developments, the imperial authority of the church got shaken. The theological natural law received a serious blow, a tremendous blow, and finally it dwindled away. It gave away to natural rights and the rights of the states. The natural law theories propounded by Hugo Grotius, John Locke, and Rousseau revolutionized the existing institution, and they held that actually the social contract is the basis of the society. They said that there is a social contract which exists between the state and the society, and that social contract says that every individual was born free, and when the society became complex, state came into being, and state ensured the people peace, safety and security, and in reply individuals gave up some of their rights in the favor of the state. So there is a contract between state and the society, and society is governed not by the church but by the state. Thinkers like Hobbes, they used natural law theory to perpetuate reactionary movement, and they justified status quo in the society for the preservation of peace and protection of individuals from virtual conflict and chaos. In short, with the Renaissance period and with the rise of humanism, the natural law became open to rational inquiries, which was free from its former religious trappings. तो natural law जो religious beliefs में trap हो चुका था, अब उसको क्वेश्चन किया जाने लगा. तो वहां से इस नेचुरल लॉ को लोगों ने खत्म कर दिया. खत्म तो नहीं किया, लेकिन वहां से एक नई थ्योरी, एक रिएक्शनरी थ्योरी का उदय होता है. From there emerges another theory which is in the favor of the state sovereignty, which is in the favor of the peace, security and safety of the society. And that is known as the theory of analytical positivism. So we will discuss in the next lecture School of Analytical Positivism.
दोस्तों, इस तरह के वीडियो को बनाने में काफी समय, मेहनत और रिसोर्सेस लगता है. आप अपना वैल्यूएबल फीडबैक जरूर शेयर करें ताकि एबनिशियो टीम को प्रोत्साहन मिले तथा आपके द्वारा दिए गए फीडबैक पर काम करके और इन्फॉर्मेटिव वीडियोस आप तक लाया जा सके. यदि आपको यह वीडियो पसंद आया हो तो प्लीज लाइक द वीडियो, सब्सक्राइब द चैनल एंड शेयर द वीडियो विद नीडी वन. थैंक यू फॉर वॉचिंग वीडियोस. थैंक्स अ लॉट.